Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 6 of Harley Quinn Season 3. So, right off the bat, I want to say something here about how this is going to close out. There's 10 episodes this season. We are going to be doing 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 together in 2 sets. So next week will be 7, 8, and the week after will be 9 and 10. The reason for this is just simply to save on time, and honestly, just to kind of continue on and get caught up with enough time to be able to get to other stuff. There's a lot of stuff airing this fall that I want to check out, and so we kind of need to, move some things along. And I've stated before in the past and everything, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of having to do that, but I also really don't want to wait too long for a lot of this newer stuff. So it's the best option. And we've gone through most of this season, 1 episode a week and everything, but doing 2 episodes a week for the last 4 episodes, it'll be fine. I'll be fine. This season as well has just been, it's been both really damn good, but also underwhelming at the same time. I don't remember who said it. It might have been Calypso, but, someone in the comments was like, had responded to, in a previous reaction of mine for this series, had responded to the fact that I talked about, the feeling that these seasons should be progressing and getting more, not just intense, but bigger stakes and more important storylines and everything, and that the slower stuff should be happening more towards the beginning of the series and all. And someone in the comments, again, maybe Calypso, maybe someone else, brought up the idea, it's like, okay, but now with Harley and I being together, it makes sense to slow it down to touch on their relationship and build that up a little more now. And it's like, you can do that without slowing down the main, plot, without, taking away the stakes and everything. You can still have a big, major, exciting plot with major, exciting stakes, and still touch on all of this with building up their relationship and tackling the things that they need to tackle. That both can be done. The issue is that this season is focusing entirely on only one of those. And because of it, the season feels slow and monotonous. It's the episodes themselves and what is happening in them are great. Don't get me wrong, but the pacing is like a snail. The season feels like, compared to the last 2, it's basically taken a standstill almost. That's how it kind of feels in terms of its pacing. You have all this crazy shit that has happened in the first 2 seasons, and then you just stop that momentum. It doesn't work, in my opinion. And granted, as always, this is all subjective. People look for different things in shows, and people are very much into different kinds of presentations of these shows and what they're trying to get across and everything. So keep in mind, this is just my viewpoint. But I feel like with it slowing down so drastically, it's completely destroyed, completely broken all of the momentum it had, And it feels not boring, but hard to sit through. With the previous seasons, I was excited to get to more reactions. With this one, I'm almost kind of putting off recording this series compared to other ones that are on my schedule currently. Not because I don't like it, but because I'm just kind of, again, not really bored, but dragged down by how slow it's gotten. I just feel like it's hurt the overall quality of things, of the series. And again, definitely the momentum has completely dropped. And the problem is they can't just pick that up again in the next season. Season 4 is already confirmed. They can't just pick that momentum back up from where it left off. They have to start anew. They have to continue off of where season 3 left it. Which means that season 4 can't just get really, really good with that either. This is going to cause future seasons to suffer too. And here's the thing, again, if you're liking this a lot more than I am, that's completely fine. And I want to make clear, I'm still very much enjoying each of these episodes as I watch them. But overall, as a season, I feel this has hurt the series. And I don't know if COVID had a role to play in that. I don't know if studio interference had a role to play in that. I don't know if this was just what they intended from the start and it's just not good. But again, you know what I mean by that. But still, this is like, even with, again, the actual content of the episodes being great, it still isn't enjoyable to watch comparatively to the first 2 seasons. Like, you'll have these great moments. You see me having fun while watching, joking about how exceptionally sexual this season is, and how exceptionally gay this season is. And I love that stuff, and yeah, it's great to see. But again, it's like, I'm just not having as much fun because there's not really much of anything happening outside of just general character development. Like, and then there's certain storylines I just couldn't give 2 shits about. Like Clayface's storyline, who gives a shit? Clayface is better when working off of the crew and everything. But in this season, he's kind of relegated to this background plot with James Gunn in this movie, and it's really fucking dumb. And Bane is really not being used well in this season compared to the previous 2. His plot lines have been boring as fuck, and the entire spaghetti maker thing has just gotten overplayed at this point. It's not a good recurring gag. Let's put it that way. Joker has had very little to do in this season, unfortunately, and because of that, he's just not been able to be as interesting. Really, Harley and Ivy are the only, like, really strong aspects of this. Like, I guess the Bat family stuff is interesting too. But Harley and Ivy are really carrying this season. And I guess that's kind of the point. But at the same time, it's disappointing. And again, I know that this may be unpopular as an opinion, as a viewpoint for this. But this is my viewpoint. This is my experience watching this show. I am not enjoying this season as much. The content itself is fine, is great even, but the enjoyability, the pacing, the momentum, very low, very low. And it's hurting the experience for me. It just really is. But we still have half a season to go. So it could pick up again, and I really hope it does. Because it really needs to. It really needs to. Either way, we'll check this out, see what this episode has in store for us, and hope to God that it starts to bring things back. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, Joker's a socialist. That's interesting, I guess. I guess little fun fact for those who may not have known, I am socialist leaning. So, yeah, free healthcare, school reform, thumbs up. But I guess I just have to say it. This is my least favorite episode of the entire series so far. I've like rewatched some season 1, season 2 stuff recently. I would say just at least off of this initial reaction and everything, this is my least favorite episode of the series. Like the entire series so far. Honestly, this is a point where I would say I was bored. The Joker storyline and everything with his family, it's like, it's cute, it's nice and everything, but it's not interesting enough to hold its own episode. The entire mayoral race, not interesting enough to hold its own episode. Combining those two, still not interesting enough to hold their own episode. It just felt boring and uninteresting. It felt like it was dragged out, and there was multiple points where I was watching and I was thinking to myself, like, when is this ending? Because it's like, again, there were some good jokes in it, and again, some cute stuff with the family, but overall, I was not enjoying this. Like, the entire thing with Gordon not understanding that Two-Face is Two-Faced, again, it's a recurring gag that just doesn't work. And as I stated in the pre-thoughts, Harley and Ivy have been carrying this season. The fact that they were barely in this episode, like only shown for one very brief cameo scene at the end, it was unbearable because of that. I said in the pre-thoughts, Joker has not been that interesting lately. I have not been enjoying him since everything kind of like died down, basically. So having this episode focus so heavily on him was just not entertaining to me. Joker as the new mayor is kind of interesting, but honestly, I don't entirely care that much. Joker, you know, having to save his son and everything. Again, very cute, very nice, heartwarming, whoop-de-doo, but very boring. Like, I just was not invested in this outside of just the general, you know, don't want to see a kid die, so gotta save the kid. That's like the only thing about this that was even slightly investing. it was so uninteresting. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know what else to say. I'm so disappointed by this episode. Again, there's a couple good jokes, and just, I mean, it's not like it's bad. It's not like the episode and the content within was bad or anything, but this is kind of the prime example of why I don't like that they slowed down. Having episodes like this after everything we've already had in this series feels just really out of place. It just doesn't seem to fit like season 3 of a show that's been so insane for so long. And at times it just feels like they're just trying to make trendy jokes rather than actually tell a good story here. And that's not usually an issue for me. I like a lot of these trendy jokes and stuff. But at least in this episode, it was just really not working for me. Even the jokes that were good, it's like in the larger picture of the episode as a whole, it just was not working for me. I was just really disappointed by this. I really am not a fan of this episode comparative to the rest of the series. And again, while it's not bad outright or anything, for the series, for this show that has been so good for the most part, especially in the first 2 seasons, this was definitely the weakest episode for me. I've watched some reactions to the episodes of this season as I've been reacting. I don't think I'm going to be able to watch this episode again. It's just, I don't care. I don't want to. I have no desire to watch this episode again. Even with someone else's reactions, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, you know? I just don't see how... I just don't see it. Maybe when Not Your Average Fangirl puts up her reaction to this episode, maybe I'll check hers out, but might be the only one. And that's only because Elijah's reactions are so, let's be honest, kind of over the top. But in a very fun, enjoyable way. I enjoy her reactions. So, she might at least make it somewhat fun to watch a reaction to this episode, too. But otherwise, I did not like this. As a whole, I did not like this episode. Again, especially without having Harley and Ivy really in it for the most part, it's like you're taking away the really only good aspects of this season and having an episode focus on the weakest aspects that the season already had going. Why would that be a good idea? But again, this is all just my opinion and everything. This is all just based on my viewing experience, what I find interesting about this series, what I like and dislike about this series. So keep in mind, if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. It's all subjective. So tell me in the comments, what did you think of this episode of Harley Quinn Season 3? And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.